Hello and welcome to Red Gaming Tech with myself, Amata. Today I'm here to give you the latest news about Grand Theft Auto 5. We just had an absolute crap ton of information revealed about it, and it's going to take quite a while for me to go through it all and of course give you my opinions on everything. So it's best that we don't dawdle and that we just jump straight in. Rockstar has revealed that for the very first time there will be multiple playable characters in the single player of Grand Theft Auto. The names of these characters are Michael, Trevor and Franklin, and players will be able to switch between these characters constantly with a single button press, and basically enabling you to see missions from different perspectives. If you want to know a little bit of information about the characters, well, here it is. Michael is apparently a retired bank robber in his early 40s who is now in the witness protection program. But his wife has burned through his substantial fortune, which, much to his chagrin, has caused him to go back in the game. His friend Trevor, who is obviously the second protagonist, is around the same age and is described as a drugged-out psychopath who's a career criminal and prone to violence. So I imagine that his personality will suit the actions of most people who are going to be playing this game, who seem to feed upon death and destruction like any good Grand Theft Auto sandbox game player should do. The final character, Franklin, apparently works as a Reaper man and is much younger than the other two, as he is in his mid-20s. He is described as the young and capable one. All three come together to perform heists, which are apparently going to be a big theme in the game. As I mentioned earlier, players will experience missions as different combinations of the three characters, as each will have a different skill set. For example, in one heist mission, Michael can rappel down the side of a building while Franklin can use a sniper rifle from afar and Trevor flies in a helicopter above. Players can, of course, as I mentioned, switch back and forth between all three, so you could grab a target as Michael inside the building or snipe as Franklin from outside, or you can choose to fly the getaway helicopter as Trevor, or snipe other pilots or fire a gun from the back of a vehicle as Michael. So basically it gives you a lot more freedom of choice of different ways to play the game, and also different ways to experience each mission. So you could argue that this is going to add quite a deal of replayability to the game, as it would give you a very good reason to go back and play the game with certain characters or a certain combination of actions, or maybe just as one character to see how it functions with just one person doing it by himself, and if it's even possible. Personally, I definitely like the addition of these other two characters. It sounds like it's going to add a ton of fun and replayability to the game, as I've already said. And also, freedom of choice is always a good thing. In fact, you could easily argue that that is exactly what a sandbox game such as Grand Theft Auto 5 should be about, and it's always what the Grand Theft Auto games have been about, being able to dick around, do whatever you want, take on side missions, do the quest, or just blow stuff up just because you can, or just generally cause havoc in whatever city you happen to be in. And I think this definitely plays to that very, very well. Hopefully they manage to pull it off well, because obviously some people are going to be a bit perturbed by this choice. GTA has always been a single character focused game, with the main character meeting some other interesting characters, but obviously only having one playable protagonist. This is going to be a big step away from that, but I think it's only going to add more fun, thrills, spills, and of course replayability, as I've always said. Personally, I like the idea of having different approaches to each mission and being able to mess around with different combos and all that. I'm definitely looking forward to messing around with these characters and the different missions and different tactics that you could have for each one. Moving on though, Los Santos, which is of course the setting of Grand Theft Auto 5, will supposedly be the biggest open world in Rockstar's history. And that's not GTA history, that's Rockstar history. So that will make it bigger than Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 4 and San Andreas combined. Which, as I'm sure you can understand, is insane. I mean, just having it bigger than being Red Dead Redemption is pretty impressive. The game world of that is absolutely huge, and having it bigger than that 4 and San Andreas combined, just the scale of it is going to be insane, and that's going to be interesting to see how they keep everything flowing in such a wide and explorable environment. I imagine there's going to be an absolute ton of side quests, some specific to some characters probably as well. I would imagine that they've got more than one side quest that is specific to one character or what have you. What's also really interesting though is players will also be able to explore underwater areas of the city, which is definitely a new addition as far as I'm aware. Water has always been something that we haven't really messed around with in the Grand Theft Auto series, and it's nice to see that the underwater world is finally being opened up to us the same as the world is on solid ground. I imagine that it'll mostly be about finding collectibles, treasures, maybe even a map or some sort of secret mission kind of thing. I imagine it'll mostly be explorable stuff like that. Obviously you're not going to really run into any people down there, so I imagine it's mostly going to be collectibles and all that other stuff that I just said. But still, the fact that you can even do that is really, really cool. Grand Theft Auto is definitely sounding like it's going to be a hell of a game. Rockstar has also changed driving mechanics, which I'm sure will be pleasing to pretty much everyone who's ever played this series or any Rockstar game. The driving controls of their games has always been a little bit of a issue, even in LA Noire and the other games. Even the horse controls in Red Dead Redemption weren't exactly amazing, and has always been kind of a staple of theirs that the driving controls are a bit off. But they've said that cars will hold to the ground a bit better and have a little more physics to them, making the driving feel supposedly more like a racing game, so that definitely sounds a hell of a lot more promising than the previous driving controls that we've had in Rockstar games. Shooting and melee combat have also supposedly been improved, as have pedestrian models, and some pedestrians have now been mapped using motion capture for more realistic movement, which is nice because nothing is more immersion breaking than a pedestrian NPC who's got himself stuck in a wall or who's just behaving in a way that an ordinary person just minding their own business would not. They also haven't employed any celebrities to provide voices for the game, which is rather interesting. It's always been a nice little feature to hear those recognisable voices in their games, but I suppose that you could argue that that's also immersion breaking. As soon as you recognise, oh, it's so-and-so from that show, you're immediately pulled out of the game world, pulled back into the real world, as you are reminded that, you know, that's just an actor doing a voice that you've seen in X film. So I suppose I can see their logic behind it, but it's going to be a little bit of a shame to not have those recognisable voices, but I suppose if it all aids to the ever important immersion factor, I suppose I can't complain too much. As I mentioned earlier, heists will be a key element with the three characters joining forces in the ways that I've already described, but apparently players will also be able to experience elements similar to Red Dead Redemption's dynamic encounters, which will include stopping to check on broken cars, picking up hitchhikers, and chase and catch muggers or rob cash vans. It'd be quite interesting to actually just catch a mugger just to steal the money that he just stole from someone else. I can imagine that's going to be a feature there, just to be like troll. Characters can also be customised by changing clothes, which has been a staple of these games for a little while now. I think San Andreas definitely had it in, but I can't quite recall if that was the first game to have it in. Probably not, but still, it's been in the game for quite some time, so it's not exactly a shocker that they've continued to add it in. Also, height and weight customization isn't going to be included, so don't worry, Grand Theft Auto isn't going all RPG on us. The phone is also going to return for obtaining important information, but will now be more modern with features more like what you see on your average smartphone. Some items previously inaccessible from the phone in GTA 4 will be actually accessible on the map, which is awesome. Anything to get rid of any clunky menus or any more barriers between you and what you're trying to get to is always good. The smoothness of the UI and just basically not having unnecessary steps to get to what you want is always good. And also, which is rather interesting, Grand Theft Auto 5 will have an original music score, which is actually a first for the GTA series. They've always used recognisable pre-made tracks, but it sounds like they're going to have a whole new score made for this film, so it seems like Rockstar is really splashing out all the cash on this one, and who could blame them? Each character is also going to have a boring daily life which the player can experience when switching between characters when they're not on a mission. Each character has unique hobbies, friends and social circles that they can see, and obviously side quests as well. I'll be very surprised if we don't see that. So the hobbies that they can participate in: Rockstar hasn't really ironed out all the details on exactly what those will entail, but I imagine they're going to be the sports-driven things like we've seen in the recent screenshots, which were actually featured on this video if you haven't already seen them. On this channel rather, but hey ho, you get what I'm saying. So yes, it sounds like you can see the players' daily lives if you so wish, get to know their friends, get to know them as a character, which is always good. Obviously, with there being 3 characters, there's not going to be as such strong characterization with you switching rapidly between them to get different skills and all that good stuff. So I think adding this element was definitely the right choice, because if you can spend a little bit of time with each character, getting to know them and their daily lives when they're not out, being a mass murderer or what have you, it will definitely help you to get to know them as a character. Outside of missions, you'll be able to participate in multiple activities, which will include all of the sports things in the screenshots, like I previously mentioned: yoga, triathlon, skiing, jumping, tennis and golf, cruise around the gigantic map and vehicles, with a confirmed list so far that includes several bikes, cars and trucks, as well as helicopters, planes, ATVs and jet skis. One thing though is that players won't be able to own real estate, but there will be plenty of other things for you to spend your, well, heisted earned cash on. There will also be appearances from characters in Grand Theft Auto 4 and episodes from Liberty City, but not major characters like Nico Bellic, so don't be expecting to see any major characters making an appearance. Rockstar has also said that the GTA games on PS2 are one universe, while 4 and 5 exist in a separate high-definition universe. So don't expect to see CJ or Tommy, as there will not be any crossovers to the previous gen, which to us is a little bit of a shame, to be quite honest with you. I think it'd be rather cool to see those old characters reappear, if only as an old acquaintance or even someone you just see in the street or briefly in a mission or something like that. I think that would be quite a nice touch. But I suppose it's cool enough that we're going to be getting some characters from GTA 4, even though we won't be seeing Nico himself. GTA 4 is of course hitting stores in spring 2013, but has only been confirmed for Xbox 360 and PS3 thus far. And we'll be going to get a second trailer soon on November 14th as well, so I'm sure there'll be an even bigger dump of well, maybe not bigger, but there'll be more information coming your way with the release of that second trailer, which should be in a few days, as I record this on the 10th of November, so not long until we finally get the second trailer, which has been delayed. But hopefully we'll get even more information than we've already got, because it seems like this game is going to be pretty damn awesome. Nothing here is really concerning me so far. There's certain things that I really hope they pull off well, because they sound like they could be so epic if done right, like the multiple characters and things like that. I just hope that this is going to be a return to form for GTA and go back to the fun, silly Destructathon that most of us remember fondly from our childhoods and teenage years. Anyway guys, I think that's me done for this particularly long news video. But I hope you found it enjoyable, helpful and informative. As always, please do hit me up with your comments on anything that I've discussed here, your opinions on the content that has been revealed, the information that's been given to you, and what you think of the content that we're going to be having in GTA so far. Does it really make you want to play this game now, or does it make you just shake your head in despair? I want to know. You know what I think, but what do you think? Anyway, enough of all that good stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.